Heroes.
Since the dawn of time, our ancestors have been telling stories of larger-than-life heroes meant to represent the human fighting spirit. And since the dawn of time, these stories have all been the same. I'm sure you've heard of the hero's journey before, or have at least seen it in action. It's a tried and true formula that's used by pretty much every heroic tale ever told. You start at the beginning of the blueprint and work your way to the end, hitting every story beat in this exact order. It makes stories interesting, gives them conflict, and many would consider it to be a rule of storytelling. But when One Punch Man came out back in 2015, it said, rules? What rules? We're starting here. And oh my gosh, it was so refreshing. Instead of a boring introduction where we learn about the main character before they get their powers, One Punch Man begins with Saitama punching a hole through a skyscraper-sized monster. There was no need to learn a power system, no need for training, and no need for Saitama to lose because he had already been there and done that many times before. Instead, One Punch Man focused on showcasing fast-paced, exhilarating action sequences with an emphasis on fun. It was a satirical gag anime meant to make the viewer scoff at the common tropes associated with the superhero genre, and even portrayed the negative consequences that might come with defeating every enemy in one punch. The anime by Madhouse was so well produced, and the story by Mangaka 1 was so refreshing that One Punch Man shot up in popularity to become the number 4 most popular anime of all time. The show was amazing, One Punch Man was everywhere, and the new hottest debate was whether or not Saitama could beat Goku. A debate in which, if you have an opinion, get ready to be called the most creatively insulting names ever conceived by the human mind by someone unironically rocking a Drip Goku profile pic. So of course people were hyped for Season 2. All Madhouse had to do was keep the same level of production and... what the heck is this? Season 2 of One Punch Man was picked up by anime studio JC Staff, and fans were not happy. What made Season 1's production so spectacular was the care that Shingo Natsume and his team put into each episode of the show, and so when they were replaced with a new team at JC Staff, who reportedly had a troubled production cycle, the end result was not pretty. Season 2 of One Punch Man was watchable, but when Season 1 looked like this, and Season 2 looked like this, now that's just a crime. Yeah, the story everyone loved was still there, but the show just wasn't the same. And so many people, including me, ended up dropping One Punch Man Season 2. But there were some who took another path. People who were determined to continue on with this story. People who read the manga. I know I said that I dropped One Punch Man during Season 2, but man, those manga readers would not let me forget about it. Panels of the One Punch Man manga began to spread across the internet like a wildfire, and when they looked this good, people were intrigued. And so, many people decided to give the One Punch Man manga a shot, including me. And let me tell you something, the One Punch Man manga is incredible. Everything you loved about One Punch Man Season 1 is expanded upon and elevated to a new level. The hysterical comedy, the outrageous fights, and the captivating storytelling are all there and better than ever. However, this does not mean that they are the same as ever. Season 1 of One Punch Man ended on such a spectacular high that many question the future of the series. How could this show ever again surpass the visual and comedic extravaganza that was Season 1? A joke can only be used so many times before it starts to lose its punch, and so if the series were to continue down the same path it was headed, it seemed near impossible for it to ever again reach the heights that it already had. But of course, this is One Punch Man we're talking about, a series whose whole concept is based around subverting our expectations. And so, what did it do to combat this problem? It removed Saitama from the story. One day, after finishing up fighting an especially powerful monster, Saitama senses an unusual presence in his vicinity. He cautiously glances around, and as he does, suddenly a massive power blast is sent hurling towards him. Saitama dodges, but fails to recognize a second power blast directed at him from another direction. Saitama is hit, and in his dying moments lying on the ground, Saitama slowly lifts his head to gaze upon the man who had just taken everything from him. "It's not possible!" Saitama cries out. "How could it be you?" But it is possible, because the man standing over him is stronger, faster, and better than Saitama in every way possible. That man is Goku. Alright, but for real, Saitama is still a part of the story, but in the manga, he takes a major backseat as the story begins to shift more towards exploring the world of One Punch Man. When I was watching One Punch Man Season 1, I remember thinking, man, this is such a cool world. There's ninjas, psychics, robots, titans, and all these S-class heroes that are supposed to be super strong. I can't wait until we get to see them all in action. Well, I'm still waiting. But after reading the One Punch Man manga, I can happily say that wait is no more. The world, the characters, and the storyline are all fleshed out in the manga to the point where it becomes much more than just a series of gags. New characters are introduced, and old ones we barely saw are all given an actual role in the story. Each and every S-class hero gets a turn in the spotlight, and their fighting styles are all so sick. You wouldn't think that being a furry would be a cool power, but somehow One Punch Man makes it cool. Without the presence of Saitama, the other heroes actually have to fight their own battles, creating tension that was never present before. Instead of every fight being decided in one punch, now battles are a climactic back and forth struggle for victory. They are massive in scale and have world-altering consequences. All the rules that were laid out before are now flipped on their head. The heroes can lose, the bad guys can win, and anyone can die. To give you an idea of just how insane these battles can be, I want to walk you through a fight between Child Emperor and Phoenix Man. The fight starts off with Child Emperor quickly disposing of Phoenix Man through smart use of an invisible wall. But if you know anything about Phoenixes, it's that they always rise back up from the ashes. And so, after being defeated once, Phoenix Man is resurrected as a more powerful threat level dragon. Child Emperor fires off a powerful blaster, but Phoenix Man reflects it back at him and penetrates the barrier separating the two. This causes Child Emperor to summon a freaking mecha, with which he uses to slap Phoenix Man until Phoenix Man evolves into Phoenix Fire Falcon mode. Child Emperor responds to this by sending out a horde of mini mechas, which then causes Phoenix Man to evolve again into Phoenix Prominence Hawk mode. At this point, Child Emperor's mech pulls out a huge knife as Phoenix Man sends feather homing missiles towards him. In a smart move, Child Emperor traps Phoenix Man in an electromagnetic field and smashes him through the floor, only for Phoenix Man to then evolve again into Phoenix Brilliant Eagle mode and rip his mech's arm off. Phoenix Man then uses his newfound power to resurrect all the dead monsters at the bottom of the pit and sends them to attack Child Emperor. This causes Child Emperor to summon a giant drill to hold Phoenix Man back, while he uses a Gigavolt Smash to destroy all the resurrected enemies around him. He then combines with his mini mechas to create a new arm, which he uses to fire off a massive power blast reaching to the heavens at Phoenix Man, who then somehow absorbs that power blast and manages to survive. Now, I won't spoil how this fight ends, but just know that it is freaking crazy. The fights in the One Punch Man manga take dumb fun to a whole new level. Deus Ex Machina are thrown out left and right, but because this manga doesn't take itself seriously, this reliance on constant one-upping only elevates the fights. The conflicts in this manga are colossal, and this is only accentuated by the art. If you've been on the internet for more than a day, then you've probably seen at least one panel from the One Punch Man manga. And if not, then you probably saw it in a museum, because that's where this art belongs. Originally starting off as a crudely drawn webcomic, One Punch Man was eventually picked up and redrawn by Yusuke Murata, the illustrator for Eyeshield 21. And holy crap, this dude can draw. One of my favorite things about Murata as an artist is how he's able to seamlessly combine the simple drawings of one's original webcomic with his own hyper-stylized art style. Some panels are these incredibly realistic depictions of broken down cityscapes and human anatomy, while others look like they were drawn by a first grader. But somehow it works, and Murata is able to pull off a perfect balancing act between using visual comedy while also adding intensity to the scenes that need it. It's easy to point out that Murata is a great illustrator. I mean, just look at this. But what I think is less appreciated about his work is his masterful paneling. When you read the One Punch Man manga, it genuinely feels like the characters are in motion. You can feel their speed, you can feel the weight of their punches, and you can feel the precision of their techniques. Yusuke Murata is obviously a student of the game, and as such, he implements and even improves upon many paneling techniques founded by action manga legends, such as Akira Toriyama. Each layout has a flow to it that seamlessly guides your eyes from one panel to the next with no room for confusion. Motion trails, anticipation shots, speed lines, they're all used in tandem with pioneering techniques from the digital age such as motion blur in order to bring these panels to life. One Punch Man's art is so immersive that many times it's easy to forget that you're reading a manga and not watching a big budget animated series. This is why it sucks to see season 2 of the anime's decrease in quality. I can sense so much more energy emerging from this panel in the manga than when watching the same scene in the anime. Yes, it's watchable, but when the manga gives you a better sense of motion than the anime, you're much better off just reading that. One Punch Man has some of the best action on the market. Its fights are loud and in your face, and I think because of this, many people seem to overlook how interesting One Punch Man's story actually is. Because Saitama is largely out of the picture after season 1, the story is able to develop and explore its side characters to a much fuller degree. To me, the side characters of One Punch Man are so interesting because, like Saitama, they all depict different ways that people might react to living in a superpowered world. Some, like Fubuki, may find lower class minions to do their bidding, while others, like Genos, may humbly seek out a mentor to guide them. Some, like a My Mask, will use their strength to gain fame and stardom, while others, like Blast, will never make an appearance to the public. And when offered ultimate strength in exchange for one's humanity, some will take the deal while others will choose not to. I think the most interesting depiction of a superpowered being, however, can be found with the character Garou, the hero hunter. Garou is a villain not because he's evil, but because he hates heroes. From a young age, Garou was always an underdog, and as such, he related with monsters because they too were underdogs when facing the supposedly righteous heroes. Because of this, Garou now hunts down heroes to defeat them in battle and prove his strength. He's set up to be the story's anti-hero, but as he continues to defeat more and more heroes, Garou kinda becomes the closest thing this story has to a typical shonen protagonist. Unlike Saitama, we see Garou grow and become stronger with each new battle. We see him weak, vulnerable, and on the edge of death, only for him to push past his limits and stand back up to face his enemies time and time again. As Garou develops, you begin to root for him, and realize that he's not a total monster after all. He fights with honor, he doesn't hurt the innocent, and he goes out of his way to save the people that he cares for. Throughout the story, Garou begins to resemble a hero, and he hates himself for it. Garou is a man who wants so badly to be a monster, but can't erase his human side. On the surface, it may seem like One Punch Man has a simple story. Heroes versus villains, good versus evil, there's a clear divide between the two sides. But I think what people don't often recognize is that One Punch Man's story is its characters. It's their interactions, their relationships, and how they develop throughout that gives this story purpose. I've heard from a multitude of people that some characters or plot points were handled better in the One Punch Man webcomic. And while I haven't yet read it myself, I trust that these people are probably correct in their assertions. But even if there were some elements lost in translation, I think that the heart of One Punch Man will always shine through in the end. You know, after catching up to the One Punch Man manga, I've been thinking a lot about what its purpose is. Why write a story about a man who can defeat everything in one punch? Yeah, sure, it's funny, but I don't think that one is so superficial a writer that he would write a main character with the sole purpose of being funny. I mean, he wrote one of my favorite anime of all time, Mob Psycho, and if that doesn't tell you the respect that I hold for him, then I don't know what does. I've seen a lot of people try and analyze Saitama as a character, and they all pretty much go the same way. They're basically like, oh, Saitama's bored and depressed because he's too strong. And yeah, I do think that that's a major part of his character, but saying it's the purpose for which this manga was created feels like a very shallow reading to me. If you were going by these people's logic, then within the first episode of the anime, we would have seen everything that Saitama has to offer as a character. It's probably true that this was the original intent for the story of One Punch Man. One was just a dude drawing a comedy manga on the internet, and likely didn't expect much to come out of it. But over time, this manga has evolved far past where it began, in popularity and in purpose. And to me, the question that One Punch Man now seems to ask is, what does it mean to be a hero? In the world of One Punch Man, there are many who call themselves heroes. They run around in costumes, defeating monsters and protecting the innocent people of City Z. There's even a hero association which provides a ranking system by which heroes are assigned a letter grade based on the significance of their feats. But what I find interesting is how this story seems to continually challenge this system that it set up. The hero ranking system is seen by many as an indicator of status and power. If you hold a higher rank than another hero, then in this world, many would believe that you are inherently better than them. Every hero in this story is introduced with their name and their hero ranking right alongside it. And so, when you're first introduced to a character like King, a top-ranked S-class hero, there's a certain level of reverence to his presence. That is until you learn that King is actually just a regular powerless man, who became an S-class hero due to a series of coincidences and misunderstandings. Even the other S-class heroes hold him in high regard and believe that he is one of the strongest solely due to an arbitrary ranking that he was assigned. However, when they see Saitama, the world's strongest man, who was only assigned to rank C because of poor exam scores, they scoff at the thought that he could ever be of help. In the minds of the people of this world, a hero is defined by their strength. And that is exactly why one of my favorite characters in this series is the GOAT Mumen Rider. He's a C-class hero with no powers, but as the cyclist for justice, he rides fearlessly into battle against foes he can't possibly defeat. I think the most powerful scene to come out of season 1 of One Punch Man was the Mumen Rider versus Deep Sea King fight. The city people are trapped, the heroes have been defeated, and the Sea King is standing over the broken remains of Genos' body. It is a hopeless situation where death is all but guaranteed, and yet, Mumen Rider comes pedaling in, chucks his bike, and stands in the way of the Sea King. The Sea King laughs, and Genos pleads for Mumen to ride away, but he doesn't falter. He's toyed with and tossed to the side like a rag doll, but Mumen Rider keeps on standing back up. Everyone knows that there's no way for him to win, but as Mumen puts it,
"It's not about winning or losing! It's about me taking you on right here and right now!"
And after hearing his words, the people of the city begin rallying around Mumen, cheering and chanting his name, until he gets one shot. But that's not what matters in this situation. 183 seconds. That's how long Mumen Rider stood in the Deep Sea King's way. In that time, the Deep Sea King could have finished off Genos and slaughtered hundreds of civilians. Mumen Rider was just a regular guy who was brave enough to get in the way, and to me, that makes him more of a hero than any S-Class could ever be. Yes, Mumen was defeated in the end, but he bought just enough time for help to arrive, and when that help does come in the form of Saitama, it is a euphoric moment. Instead of dismissing Mumen as just another weak C-Class, Saitama recognizes his heroism and says to him,
"Nice fight, man. Should be proud of yourself."
After which, he goes on to promptly one-shot the Sea King. In this instance, it would have been easy for Saitama to take credit for this feat and prove his strength to the world. He deserves it, but he doesn't care. Instead, he points out all the heroes who had fallen before him, and how their efforts were the real cause for victory. In this scene, both Saitama and Mumen Rider are heroes in their own way. Time and time again, this same cycle is repeated in the One Punch Man manga. A character will be down on the ground, broken, battered, and on the verge of death, only for Saitama to swoop in and stand above them as a glistening ray of hope. Some may see this as repetitive or a cop-out, but to me, it seems like this manga is repeatedly trying to push forward a message. When this same situation happens again with the character Suiryu, he is lying paralyzed on the ground, screaming for someone, anyone to come help. As a skilled martial artist, this was his first time coming to the realization that he was going to die. The heroes he had mocked before were the same ones that he was now begging to stand back up and fight. Eventually, Suiryu loses hope, and as he looks up one last time to see the world he would soon be departing, he instead sees Saitama, somehow standing over him with unwavering confidence. And in only one sentence, Saitama is able to re-inspire hope within Suiryu. "I am a hero." Obviously, Saitama kicks butt. But what I think is important about this scene is that after being saved by Saitama, Suiryu chooses to reconsider his life and realizes that he too wants to be a hero. And to me, that right there perfectly encapsulates Saitama's role within this story. Saitama is not a hero because he's strong and kills everything in one punch. He's a hero because of how he inspires others to do better and to be better. There's a reason why characters like Genos, King, and Bang all follow Saitama. It's because of what he teaches, not through his words, but through his actions. Saitama is a hero for fun. He doesn't do it for money, fame, or power. He just wants to help people and expects no reward. He could conquer the world if he wanted, but instead he chooses to shop on bargain day at the supermarket just like everyone else. King often tells Saitama that it's not about becoming the strongest hero, it's about becoming the greatest hero. You don't have to be strong to be a hero. Saitama was just as much of a hero when he defeated his first villain as he will be when he defeats his last. The size of your actions don't determine their worth. And that right there is to me the message of One Punch Man. The fact that no matter how weak, useless, or inadequate you may feel, you can be a hero. And that right there is incredible to me. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I just want to say thank you for being so patient with me in my upload schedule. I've been really busy with life stuff recently outside of YouTube, and so I haven't really been able to work on this channel that much. But just know that this channel is always on my mind, and I'm always thinking about new ways to improve my content. Also, let me know if you enjoyed the new video format. Showing my face was kind of weird at first, but I think it kind of adds a lot to the video. Makes it more personal, I guess. I've been trying to experiment a little bit more with my channel recently, and so if you have any ideas that you think could help it, then drop them in the comments below. Again, sorry this one took so long to come out, but as always, thanks for watching and bye.